Okay.
If you refuse, they can put you in a brig, right? Like there's a punishment. Presumably you can refuse and they won't hold you down, or will they hold you down?
Free Talk Live.
Paul, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm a veteran, and I belong to a veterans organization, Veterans for Peace. And we keep talking about the Gulf War syndrome. We've been talking about it for years.
Yeah, many years.
I heard an interview with a nurse who worked for 10 years in the Army, giving the shots to the veterans going into the Gulf War. And she said, funny thing is that she gave out all these anthrax shots out, and yet half the guys who got the Gulf War syndrome, who end up in the hospital with it, did not even deploy to the Gulf. And so she is questioning whether or not the Gulf War syndrome is real or whether it was caused by the shots she was giving. She said she quit the Army. She was getting so tired, so depressing, talking to the parents of these guys who were damaged by what she thought was the vaccination she was giving to them.
Well, you can't trust those vaccines. They cause all sorts of things.
Yeah, and so the Veterans for Peace organization nationwide now is taking an interest in this whole Gulf War syndrome thing and trying to figure out, we need more research. Any other nurses out there who are involved in giving the shots, please contact us.
Why isn't DAV, Disabled American Veterans, VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, whatever? There's a bunch of them out there. Why aren't those organizations being interested in this topic? Because this isn't, as I understand it, Gulf War syndrome isn't from people who went to Iraq. It's for people who went to the Persian Gulf War in the early 90s. So you're talking about something that's 30 years in the making at this point. I mean, it's not like we've got news. Why aren't these organizations concerned with it?
Yeah, there's 250,000 veterans with Gulf War syndrome, and nobody else is taking an interest.
Right, nobody seems to know what the hell it is.
Yeah, that's right. Because, well, I'm a doctor also. I went to medical school after I got out of the military, and at first I couldn't figure it out. And then when I heard this nurse explaining, and she hit I thought what the key thing was, she said, half the guys who have it never even deployed.
Sure.
And then when she said that, I said, the only thing they have in common is they all got the anthrax vaccine, which was not a single dose of anything. It was like 10 different types of drugs in one shot.
As a doctor, though, how couldn't you study the effects of the anthrax vaccine over the course of time with all the people who have taken
absolutely. It? That's one of the things I'm doing now. I'm researching it, and I'm trying to contact more people I'm in the San Francisco Veterans for Peace, so if people want to contact me, I'm easy to find.
Are you reaching out for support then? Is that?
Yeah, I want any veteran out there listening who has Gulf War syndrome, and I want to know if they were deployed or not. I want to do this research because this one nurse gave me this clue, and I realized, oh my God.
Well, I guess my question would be on this, is this, so if it seems to only happen from this general time frame. So we're talking about a particular batch of vaccine, not the anthrax vaccine, because I mean, if they're giving this thing out, then everybody who gets this, or at least some percentage of people have been getting it for years. If it was the same vaccine that they were giving out 30 years ago, then they should have it too. It sounds like it had to do with something. If it had to do with the vaccine at all, it had to do with a particular batch, because it doesn't seem to have any, civilians aren't getting Gulf War syndrome.
Maybe it's a psyop.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Who knows?
We need to know
there's
more.
A history of them testing on enlisted men, right?
Sure is. Yeah.
Oh yeah. When I was first in the Navy, I was standing in line getting vaccinated, and the guy ahead of me was this big, strapping, 6'2", 200 and some pound guy, and he collapsed, and they took him to the hospital, and he died from the shot, whatever it was they give us. I didn't know what it was because I was like 19 years old.
Right.
I was in the military expecting to die anyhow. So
that's kind of sad.
If somebody dies right there in front of you, you don't think anything about it because in the military, dying is normal. It just happens. Now I've woke up, and so I realized, I should have been scared when that guy died. I should have probably said, well, okay, this guy...
No, thanks. I won't take that. No, none of that for me. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if he does right in front of you.
I'll check with you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm curious. So, obviously, things have changed since when you went into the military. You don't sound like a spring chicken. But what would happen if you went into the military and refused to take the shot now?
Oh no, you can go. You can't refuse to take the shot. But I already knew that when I was standing in line.
Well, wait a minute.
You can get discharged.
Okay.
If you refuse, they can put you in a brig, right? Like there's a punishment. You could presumably refuse and they won't hold you down, or will they hold you down?
No, they're not going to hold you down, but they're going to bring in the shore patrol and they're going to escort you over to the brig and give you time to think about it. And then, most guys just take the shot and move on.
Sure.
So may I give out my email address?
Sure, if you would like, you're welcome to. Go ahead.
Okay, it's D like David, R like Roger, and then the number 8, the figure 8, and my last name is KANGAS @gmail. And yes, I'm a doctor.
DR8 KANGAS @gmail?
Yes. Gmail, yeah.
I've got another question. And just let's hypothetically assume that you're right for a moment, and there is a causal relationship between the anthrax vaccine and Gulf War syndrome. Should you be able to prove this, what do you hope to accomplish with that evidence?
Well, I mainly want to alert the military that something's wrong here.
Oh, I'm sure they're dying to know.
They're going to file that in the circular file, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, they might be responsible for it.
Right, which is why they're going to file it in the circular file. I would like to alert
the military that they are responsible for a bunch of sick people, 250,000 sick people. Yeah, they're dying to know that.
Yeah, and I don't expect them to respond real fast, but if I can get 100 guys, 100 veterans, or maybe 200 to help me do this research, that would, I think, get their attention. If I can present a case description of when these guys got the shot, whether or not they were deployed, and what their symptoms are. Mainly I'm interested in the symptoms, and if they're keeping track of their symptoms, like when they first collapsed from it or whatever happened to them.
If you can come up with something conclusive, I think the media would be much more interested than the military would, and that's how you would get their attention, is if you actually went.
You're absolutely right.
And blew the case wide open.
I do want to say thank you for your service on this. I think you're doing great work. If you do find something out, science is about finding out that you're wrong too.
And you said
you could be wrong.
You were in the group. Is it Veterans for Peace that you were a part of?
Yes, I'm in San Francisco. Veterans for Peace.
Thank you, Paul, for your call tonight. Good luck. I appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. According to Wikipedia, Gulf War syndrome is a chronic and multi-symptomatic disorder affecting returning military veterans and civilian workers from the Persian Gulf War in 1990 and 1991. A wide range of acute and chronic symptoms have been linked to it, including fatigue, muscle pain, cognitive problems, rashes, and diarrhea. And about 250,000, as he said, U.S. veterans who served are afflicted with this illness. There's more coming up here. 855-450, free like freedom. If you want to join us, this is Free Talk Live. Listening to KWTO there in Springfield. Hello, John.
Hello, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just wanted to address the gentleman that was calling earlier. I myself was a corpsman. It's like I was at a place called Camp Patriot in Kuwait. Okay, the Second Gulf War, whatever they're calling it now, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't even know.
It's like I used to actually give the anthrax shot. Some kind of interesting things about that. I don't really think that there is a Gulf War syndrome specifically. I think you can use it as an umbrella term. If you've ever been to Kuwait, it's filthy. Okay, it's like they burn their garbage there. They have refineries there with hardly any health standards, and you have ships coming in from India and other ports of the world, that kind of thing. They're blowing sulfur off the top of their boats. It's something like from Gods of War. Have you ever seen that movie with Nicolas Cage? It's ridiculous. It's filthy there. I saw people that got what's called caustic pneumonia. Yes. That's basically when you have chemicals from refineries burn away the protective mucosa, that kind of thing in your lungs and whatnot, and your mucous membranes. They get infected, and you actually get a form of pneumonia from, you know what I'm saying, basically the filth, you know what I'm saying, is then you, it's like, then you breathe that in, and of course you have to give them a Z-Pack and whatnot. So I think there is something to that. Most veterans get a particulate matter form in their medical files upon leaving the Gulf, so you do qualify for some disability. As far as the anthrax shot, I think there's something to that. I think basically what it is that when that came out, two manufacturers made it, Bioport and Biothrax. You can check this out. Also, what I find interesting is when they first came out with the anthrax shot, they played around with the dosage and the dosage schedules. And you can verify this on BCHPIR, Immunization Healthcare Network. It's like at first it was administered as a subcutaneous shot. That means it goes in at an angle, you know what I'm saying, to be filtered in. It's like, it's an anterior deltoid shot, filtered in, so it would filter through. It wouldn't go directly into the muscle. What was causing reactions and some nerve damage? It's like the area of your elbow, that kind of thing. So they kind of said, okay, we screwed up a bit there. So they made it into an IM shot, okay? And then they played with the exactly. Yeah, subcutaneous intramuscular shot. Went with that kind of thing. They stuck with that, and then they changed the dosage schedule. Do you know what I'm saying? As far as it was a Schedule 3 sauce with a booster, I believe, if I remember correctly.
So it is possible that one of those differentiations could be the cause of what this other doctor was claiming.
Yes, I think that's what it is. And plus, it's like you have to remember inexperience and user error. You have to remember that some of these guys are like just out of corpsman school, or it's like just out of Fort Sam. Okay, you might have like an E1 medic out there giving out shots, that kind of thing, and his basically instead of loading 0.5 milliliters, you know what I'm saying, has loaded
0.5.
It's like one or 5 milliliters,
right,
and given a shot. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of potential for error there. Okay, so I think there is a Gulf War syndrome per se, as far as you use it as an umbrella term. But I think it's like, and there is probably a lot of people that have received the anthrax shot. It's like improperly. But as far as one specific thing for the Gulf War syndrome, I'm not quite sure if I'm on board with that completely. But thank you for taking my call, sir.
Thanks for somebody who is on the ground there with the expertise. I appreciate it, John. Thank you for the call tonight.
I was just in the aid building, just basically looking at feet most of the time.
Somebody's got to do it. Right. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Free Talk Live. Listen live 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern or grab the podcast. It's all at freetalklive.com.